Hello guys, and welcome back to the course. So in the last part we talked about loops. So I said the next part we're looking into now, we're looking towards array. Now what's an array? An array is just a collectible collection of what elements stored in what in a single variable. Each can be accessed by what? By its index starting from what? Starting from zero. Now look at it this way. We have a variable. If I say let a equal to like 1, it means I'm assigning 1 as what? 4. Anywhere I call out a, it means it's what? It's 1. But look at an array as like a carton that can carry like multiple things at once. Now I'm having a bottle, right? My bottle is my variable. Now I fill it with water. Now my that's a variable with initialization, right? Now if I'm saying this, imagine I'm having like a carton and I have like arranged different bottles of water in it. Just one variable now is carrying what? Multiple values, multiple datas. It's carrying like, so it can carry water, it can carry biscuits, it can carry different things, like different datas. It's just what? In just one variable. That's how an array works. Now look at it. We're saying this to create an array. Now you say what? Your variable name, then what? The name you want to give your array. So we're saying let fruit equal to what? Apple, banana, and what? And orange. Like this, we're having what? 3 items here. But for an array now, we only have what? Just 2 index. Why? Because an array starts from what? Index of 0, 1, and what? And 2. Now let's go to code to run this. So let's create a new file and name it array dot html. So we could have this guy this way. So we'll say script. Now script. Now I'm having this. I could be saying this. Let car. Okay, let me say let cars equal to this. Now let me list out my favorite cars. I would say Mustang. I love this one. And I could say, let's say say Camaro, right? Let's say Chevrolet Camaro. Then I could have like Dodge Challenger. Let's say Challenger, yeah. So these are like Challenger. So these are like 3 different items here. So I'm having like cars, that was what? Mustang, Camaro, and what? Challenger. Now if I'm saying this, now if I say this, let's say this console dot log. Let's say I want to see the output of this guy now. Say console dot log cars. And let's see what's inside the variable called cars. Now we load with live server now. So we'll say, let's say Control Shift and I. Now we'll be having this guy this way. Still loading. Shift I. Let's close some tabs. Okay, actually still refreshing. Now we're able to see what we have here. Let's see in the console now. I'm able to see 3. Actually, what's saying 3 items, right? But we're saying what? How many index? 0, 1, and what? And 2. So our array has what? An index of what? Of 2, whereas an item of what? Of 3. Now if you come back here now, let's see. So we said let's cars equal to what? Mustang and all. Now imagine I need to like check the total length of my array, just like the way this guy is showing it here, 3RB. Now to do that, now we just say this is a method in array. Let me actually go back to our slide to understand that better. So we said we are in array now. We have different methods. We have things like push, we have pop, we have shift, we have unshift, we also have what? Length. Now when we talk about push, it adds an element to what? To the end of the array. And when we talk about pop now, pop removes the last element from the what? From the array. Whereas shift now removes what? The first element from the array, and unshift what? Adds an element to the beginning of what? To the array. And the length returns the what? The number of elements in an array. So let's come back here to see how this guy works. Now let's start with the first one. Now let's start with the last one. We said length. So to check the total length of our array now, you can see it's telling us that we have what? Total of our array is what? Let's do it finish. Is what? Is 3. So we're having 3 items. So let's come back here. So that's how we have this guy. So it's showing us what the total amount of items in the array is what? Is 3. Now let's look at the other ones. When we say the push method. Now let's say this. If I say let me say card dot push, and let's say another car. Let's add another car. I will say this. So this push is a method, like a function, right? So I will say card dot push. Then I will say. So we said when we use array, the push method now, what does it do? It actually adds an item to our array. So I will say this. Now let's say I don't really fancy Ferrari. Let's just say Ferrari, right? Now I've come back and load our code now. As you can see now, we're having what? Sorry. We're having, okay, it's not completed. Sorry, it's still loading. Now we're having what? Mustang, Camaro, Challenger, and what? And Ferrari. Why we have Ferrari? Because we're using what? The cars.push what method. Now let's check the other part out to say we have the pop, we have the shift, and what? The unshift. Let's see how every one of these guys work. So starting with the pop. Now let's see this. Now we say the pop. Now the pop actually removes the first item in the array. So we'll say pop cars.pop. Now I will run this and let's see. Let's refresh. Now you can see we're already having what? Mustang and what? And Camaro, meaning what? It has already removed. So Mustang and Camaro, meaning it has already removed the third one, which is what? Challenger for us. Now the next part now is the shift. Now let's call out the shift. They said the shift what? Removes the first element from the array, while the unshift adds an element to the what? To the beginning of what? Of the array. So let's say shift. So we'll come back here and say this cars dot shift. So when we say cars dot shift now, it removes the first element of the what? Of the array. Now we will come back here to reload. Now I've seen this guy this way. So we're seeing Camaro and what? And Challenger, whereas we don't have what? Mustang. But when we're using the put and the pop now, it removes the what? The last one. But for the shift now, it removes the first one. When we say on shift now, let me change to on shift now. It actually like returns back to how it should have actually been. So this way now we're having our complete array: Mustang, Camaro, and what? And Challenger. So that's all about array. Now the next part we'll be looking into now is objects. Now what's an object? We said an object is a collection of key value pairs. Keys are also what? Are also called properties, and are used to what? Access the corresponding values. Now look at this. The example you're seeing here now is using what? A person. I'm a person, right? Now surely I have different properties. I have height, I have skin color, I have a age, I have a job, things like this are what? Are properties. Now let's say a car specifically now. Now a car now is an object whereby it actually has like different properties, like the color of the car, the maker of the car, the model of the car, the color of the tire, things like this are what? Are the properties of what? Of the car. Now the same thing, how do you create an object? You say what? The variable, then what? The name of the object equal to, now you can see we're using what? A curly brace. For an array now use what? Single bracket. But now for object now use what? A curly brace. Now inside it now you can say the property name colon, now the value you want to actually give. So the same thing, let's try our own part out. So let's say we're actually creating a new file, calling it objects.html. So let's see how this guy works out. So we actually have this. I can say script, right? Inside the script now, I could have this. Let's car equal to this. Now I have to give the first property I want. I will say the name of my car could be what? Mustang, right? So I could actually have this also. I could have the model car also, I would say, let's say 2004. Let's say 2004. Let's say 2004. Then I could have the color of the car, let's say red. So these are what are different properties and what values I'm actually what giving to my car. Now, if you come back to our slide, we're saying this. When we want to view to access our objects now, we have two main ways. We say we have the dot notation and what bracket notation. Here we can see like using dot notation, we just say console.log, then what the name of the object dots the certain property I want to what display. Or if I'm using the bracket notation, I will say the object name, then brackets, single brackets. Then I'll say inside it now in the string I'll say the name of what of the certain property I'm trying to what to call out. Now let's go back to our code and see how this guy works. So let's say console.log of car. Abi, let's see how this guy actually comes out at first. So let's say point live server. So we could have opening. So let's say Control Shift I to see what we actually have. Now as you can see now, so if I click on this guy now, try showing what the total everything inside what my object. Now if I come back here now and say this instead, car dot what dot name, I don't want to see the name of my car. Now if I come back here, we'll be having this what as, let's refresh. So we'll be having this guy as what Mustang. You get. So now I'm really showing what one property from my car. I could also say console dot log. Then let's say I could have this my so I could say car, right? Then I'll have this bracket and I'll be saying inside it now I'll have, let's say I'm going to show the color of the car. I'll say color, right? Now I've come back here to run the code now. I'm actually having what the same thing. So Mustang, okay, now it's saying this undefined. Now let's come back to see why. So let's say we're using this now rather than single quote, let's use double quote. I think that's the error. So I'll come back here now, let's reload. Now upon reload, now you can see we're having Mustang and what and red, right? So this is how this guy actually what works. Now moving to the next part, now we say we have the modifying properties. Now to modify an object, now you just said, when I say modify, like just changing what has been there before. So I'm saying person.job is equal to what designer. So imagine I'm changing my car color. I could say what car dot what color equal to what, I could say, let's say white or something. And when I say console.log person dot color, now it's giving me white rather than what than red. Now the same way, imagine that to add like the country where the car was made. So I could say car dot what country equal to what Mustang is made in US. So I could say USA. So I could say console.log cars dot what dot country. Now let's see how every one of this guy works. So I'll be commenting this guy out. So let's say this. Now imagine I'm saying car dot what, let's say car dot color, right? Then I'm saying is equal to this now, let's say white. Abi? Now or let's say black. Stand is more cool that way in black. So say person car dot color is equal to what black, right? So now I'm saying car dot what car dot color. Now let's see the color we'll be having. So we'll be having this. Now I will refresh our code. So now you can see the color of our car now is what is black. Why? Because we already modified what we want there already. Now let's say the same thing. I need to add like the country. I could say car dot what dot country. Then I could say equal to what USA, right? Now if I say this console dot log, then I'm having car dot what the same thing. We come back also, refresh. Now you can see we're having black and we're having what, USA. This is how this guy works. So the another thing we're having then, we're having what, the delete property. We say what, you say delete, then the object name dot the certain property you actually want to what, to delete. Now let's say I'm coming back to my code now. Now let's say I'm actually wanting to remove the country. Now I will say, okay, let's say here. Let me uncomment this, right? So I wanted to show the full object. So if I'm showing the full object this way now, we'll be having this guy this way. Let's refresh first. Let's refresh. So we're having black and USA. So sorry, this is a full object. We're having color, country, model, and what, and name. Now let's come back here now. So imagine I'm actually removing, okay, let me remove them. Now if I'm saying this, before I get to this part here, I'm not saying delete, right? Delete car dot what, let's say country. I don't want to show the country there. So when I say this now, delete car dot country, then I actually come back here to run our code. Now fresh. Now as you can see, we are just having what, the name of the car, the model of the car, and the what, and the color of the car. But the reason why I still seeing USA here is because we are running this code here. So now imagine me removing this and this now. So automatically now we won't be having USA there anymore. Let's refresh. So we're just having just this. So the name of the car, the color of the car, and the what, model of the car. So the next part we're looking into now is the object method. Now the object method now is just like a function that can be defined as what, as properties of what, of an object. Now look at this. With saying we have a car now. Let's say the brand of car is what, Toyota. Then I'm having what, a model of what, of Corolla. Now surely every property must have what, it's different function. I'm a person. I have legs, right? My leg is a property. Then I could give like, let's say 116 or 130 something centimeter for my leg, right? But now I should be able to like walk, talk, or something. Now every one of these guys are what, are functions. Now the same thing with a car now. You know, a car can actually start, it can actually like brake, it can actually put on its brake and different sort of thing. Now example here, now I was saying this, we're having a function inside what, our object now, a function called what, start. So when I say start, then inside it I'm putting what, a function whereby I'm saying console.log of what, car is starting. So the moment you call out this car.start, now automatically now it runs this code inside it. Now let's try this guy out. So let's come back here and see this. Let's say we're removing every one of these guys, right? Now I can say this. Let's say start, right? That's the function I want to create. So I could say function, then I'm having this, right? So I'm saying return console.log your car is moving, right? Once this is been activated. So now if I come here now and say let's say car dot what, dot start, are we? Now once you put this bracket at the front, it means you're activating what, that function. You're actually activating what, that certain method. Now if we come back here now to actually see what we have here, so let's refresh. Now it can tell me, it's telling me what, my car is what, actually what, moving. And let's say we're adding like brake there also. I could say rather than start, I could say brake, then I could have, sorry, so I could have my function here, function function, then this. So inside this place now, I would say return what? console dot log of, let's say, your car is coming to an halt, right? So now let's say we're not starting this one, we're actually activating this guy. So car dot brake, and then I could have this to activate it. So if I come back here now and refresh the page, now you should be having this guy this way. So now it's telling me that what my car is coming to what? To an halt. This is how we have this guy. This is how we have the object method. This is how we have the object function. So the next part we'll be looking into now is DOM, document object what? Manipulation. Now when we talk about DOM, the DOM represents what? The structure of what? The HTML document as a tree of what? As a tree of object, allowing you to interact with and manipulate what? The web page using what? JavaScript. Now this DOM now, it treats like the first thing it picks is that it picks your certain HTML file now. Now it converts every tags into it. It sees every one of them as a what? As an object. Now starting from your HTML tag to the last tag you use inside that your file now, every one of them becomes what? An object to it. Now you said the DOM represents what? The structure of an HTML document as a tree of what? As a tree of objects, allowing you to interact with and what? Manipulate web page using the JavaScript. So now as you can see, now I'm having my document first. So everything from my root element to my other elements, from such as head, the body, the title, and all, every one of these guys are what? Objects to what? To my JavaScript, to my web browser. Now when you use DOM now, there are different methods you need to understand. So to select element, now we have things like get element by ID, get element by class name, by query selector, by query selector of all. So when you say select, this when you say get element by ID, now it selects an element by its ID, the class name selects element by their class name, query selector select the first element that matches the what? A CSS selector, and the query selector all selects all element that matches what? A CSS selector. So let's try this one out. So let's say we're creating a new file for dom.html. Now we'll have this, right? Now let's say this script. Okay, let's say p tag, right? I give an ID equal to, let's say, 1. Now you can see my p tag is actually empty, and I'm saying this script. Now inside my script I'm saying let me just say this document dot get element by ID called what? 1. Now automatically now the first thing is what? The document. Now the next thing is what? The object. I mean going into this document and find this object called what? 1. So now it comes in and find this p tag which has what? 1, an ID of what? Of 1. Now I'm saying dot, meaning once you have the first thing is what? Went to the document and find what? This guy. Now once you're inside this guy, now I'm asking you that dot go inside this guy also and say what? Dot inner HTML, meaning in between this place here. Then I'm saying I want the value to be this, equal to welcome Faisal. Now if you run this code now, we're having this guy this way. Now as you can see, we're having what? Welcome Faisal. Now imagine I was having something else here. Let's say hello world. Still, this guy is still going to manipulate what is there and actually still show what? Welcome Faisal. Why? Because we're using what? DOM. So actually manipulating anything you already have there before. You can actually add new things, or you can actually what? Manipulate what has been there before. So that's the main thing about the document object manipulation. So the next part we'll be looking into now is function. How does function work and where we use now when we talk about functions, we said introduction to function. Functions are a reusable block of code designed to perform what? A specific task. They may help your code modular and what? And organized. Now the first thing you have is what? Function. Then what? The function name, then the parameters, then what next you have is what? The code that it will be executed. Now here it's calling a function. Imagine here I'm saying let's message equals what? Great Faisal. You know, yeah, I'm actually calling what? A certain function called what? Great. I'm saying console.log of message. Now you're saying what? Hello Faisal. Now function parameters and argument. Now we say we have a function as what? A parameter and a what? An argument. Variables listed as part of the function definition are what? Parameters, whereas an argument is what? Are values passed to the what? To the function when it's called. Remember this kind of one, this calling a function when we did the object now. We said when we were saying starts, right? When I said car.start, then I'm putting this bracket at the front of it. Automatically now I'm saying what? Activate what? This function. That's how you call a function. But now the next one we're saying the parameters and argument. Now let's see how this guy actually works. So let's say we're having a file called function.html. So I could actually have this guy this way. So let's say script, right? So if I'm saying function, now I'm giving a name of my function. Let me give you a name yet. So I say function let's say function me, a and what? B, right? So I'm having this guy this way. If I say return a plus what? Plus b. Now how do I make this guy work? I'll say console.log, right? Console.log of what? I could say me, right? But I need to activate it. So now if we run this code now, we'll be having this guy this way. So let's say blue ships and I. Now it's telling us what? Not a number. So why is it saying this? Okay, so because we haven't added the values we wanted to add. So I will say 7 here. I will say 7 here also. So it's more like 7 plus 7. Now let's actually run this code again to see what we have. Now it's saying what? 14. Doesn't make sense. So now when we talk about we said parameters are what? Variables listed as part of the what? The function definition. Why the arguments are the what? Are the values that are passed. So now just like we're doing here now, we're saying these guys A and B are what? Our parameters. You get me? Now this 7 and this 7 is I'm adding here now are the what? Are the arguments we're trying to what? Run against. So the same thing, imagine I was like a multiplication, I'll say what? A times B here. Now if we come back here now, we're having what? 49. So let's refresh and see. Now that's how we get this guy. Now let's move on to the next part of the function. So in the next part now, we'll look at how we can add the DOM manipulation with what? With our function. So let's say this. Imagine I was trying to like make a simple calculator whereby I don't need to like give a predefined value. I want my user to actually what? Put a value of his or her choice. Now I do the same thing. Let's go back to our code. So we can actually have this. So let's say we're having this input. So input, say 2 inputs box, right? So I'm saying ID for this, I'm saying 1, and ID for this as what? As 2. Now I can have this. Let's say I'm adding a break tag here, BR, right? So I'm having this button tag, this button here for addition, right? So if I'm saying this now, input, on click. Now this on click now is an attribute whereby it's a pointing device button that has been what? That has been pressed and released on what? On a certain element. So I'm saying once someone clicks on this plus button now, something should happen. And I could say this add. You get me? So now let's remove this part. Don't need it. So I'll say function what? Add. You get me? So now I'm not saying this curly brace. Now I will say let a equal to what? Document dot get element by what? ID of what? Let's say the first one we're picking is what? 1, right? So now I can have dot what dot value dot meaning by what dot anything that's inside this input, anything it has. I'm storing inside what this a. Now the same thing with the next one. I say let b equal to what document dot get element by id of what of 2 dot value, right? So this way. Now I can now say sum equal to what a plus b, right? Now I will say return. Now where do I want to return the answer? So I will say let's create a tag here. Let's say p tag, right? The p tag, now I'm saying answer, then I could have this. So let's say inside this b tag, now inside this b tag I could have like an id. Let's say an id of ans, like answer, right? So I'll say return what document dot get elements by what by id of what ans, right? So once it gets that thing, what does it do for me? I'm asking it what dot now inner html. Now I'm actually storing something inside it now, right? So dot inner html, you were saying dot value, actually what getting was inside there before, but I'm saying what dot inner html, put this inside the html, inside in between this tag for in between this tag for me. So now if we let's run this guy out now. Let's see. You say, so if we were to run it now, let's say this now. So as you can see now, we're having this guy this way. Let me zoom in for more. So now I'm saying 1, now having 1 here. So 1 plus 1 should give us what 2. Now our function is not working. Let's see what's wrong. So you can, when you inspect, can actually see why it's not actually working. So let's come back to our code to find what our error is. Now as you can see, we have an incomplete code here. Remember, I'm just saying .inner HTML. I'm not actually assigning anything. So I'm saying it's equal to what sum, meaning that what should be returned into this guy now is what the addition of what this guy and this guy. So let's come back and see our output. So let's say 10 plus 10. Let me say answer. It's saying what 10 10, which is wrong. Now why is this? Because it's actually reading that as a string, so just adding 2 strings together. Now to fix it, now remember we said we have the number, we have the pass int methods, so the function to what actually to convert it into convert your strings into what numbers for you. So I will say number, then this document element by id, now value. Now the same way with the other one too. So I'll say this number, then this, then the same way also. So now if we come back here and run our code now, we'll be having it more like this way. So let's say 10, then we're having 10 here also. So exactly what, okay, doesn't refresh, finish. So let's say 10 10 10, we're having what 20. Now imagine we wanted to like add other as arithmetic operators, like let's say subtraction and the rest. So the same thing, just say and just copy this. So rather than addition, I'll use what subtraction, then we'll change the name to what sub, right? Give a function name of your choice. Now the same way I say division give, right? So I'll say this, then I could have multiply as star. So I say multi. So I could have the modulus, right? So mod. Now I could have this sign there for the user. Now imagine you wanted to like work with these guys now. Exactly the same code you have here now. You just need to like write it and just change the function name. So I'm having add here, so I'm using what sub the same thing, I'll come in and change what this to what a minus b. Now this your variable name doesn't actually matter. The variable name you're using here doesn't actually matter. So you can actually use anything of your choice. So I can change to sub also if I wish. I could say, let's say I can actually say sub because I've used it as my function name. So I can say sub t. Then I come here and also say what sub t. Exactly the same way. So now I could have other part like division div, right? So yeah, instead of a plus b, I'll have what a divided by b. Then I could have the modulus, right? MOD. So instead of this, I'll be having what this guy instead. So the same way with the multiplication. So I'll be having what multi. So instead of a plus b, I'll be having what a times b. So let's run this guy and let's see how it works out for us. Now I'm saying 10 times 10. Now it's telling me what 100. So I will say 20 minus 10. So 20 minus 10 is what 10. I will say 20 divided by 10, which is 2. And I say 20 modulus 10, which is what 0. So this is how this guy actually works. So we're actually done with this part of function. We're actually done with this part of the course. So there's going to be one more video for a final project about the whole JavaScript. So we'll be building a calculator, like one similar to like a phone version, whereby every aspect of it is working like a real life calculator. So thank you, till the next